content presented in this podcast is based on real events and may contain graphic descriptions of violence, sensitive topics, and explicit language that may be triggering, offensive, or sensitive subjects to some viewers and listeners. Discretion is advised. The purpose of this podcast is to explore and discuss true crime cases for entertainment and educational purposes only. This podcast does not intend to glorify or sensationalize crime, but rather aims to analyze and understand the complexities of human behavior in the criminal justice system. We encourage listeners to approach this content with empathy, critical thinking, respect for the victims and their families.
The music stops, and for a moment there's silence. Not the comforting kind, the kind that comes after chaos. On October 1st, 2017, 11 minutes. That's all it took for thousands of lives to be split into a before and after. Among them was Mary Jo von Tillow. Her husband, Kurt, was killed on the Route 91 Harvest Festival, the deadliest mass shooting in American history. But this isn't just a story about what was taken. It's about what was found in the wreckage, the connection, the courage, and the kind of strength that only rises when people refuse to let tragedy define them. So today, Mark Gray joins me to walk us through the journey behind the book, The Las Vegas Massacre Connections, its truth, its impact, and what it means to carry tragedy together. And this is a story of finding strength after the unthinkable. So with that being said, it's time to start the show. Let's hit it. Hi, welcome to another episode of Mysteries, Mayhem, and Merlot. I am your host, Winnie Schrader. Well, tonight we're going to talk about one of the largest mass shootings in American history. It is the largest, but we really don't hear about it anymore. Normally, you hear about anniversaries of school shootings and remembering the victims and things like that, but you don't really hear about the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. But on the night of October 1st, 2017, the Route 91 Harvest Festival was alive with music, lights, and thousands of people gathered under a warm Las Vegas night sky. No one in the crowd could have imagined how quickly everything would change. The mass shooting occurred between 10:05 p.m. and about 10:15 p.m., which was the third and final night of that music festival. When the shooting began, country music singer Jason Aldean was giving his closing performance that night. Now, from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, a 64-year-old gunman began firing into the sea of concertgoers below. The first bursts were met with confusion, fireworks maybe, but within moments, the horrifying reality became very clear. More than 1,000 rounds rained down on that festival grounds. 58 lives were stolen, hundreds more were wounded, and the chaos that followed left the total number of injured in the hundreds beyond that. It was 11 minutes of terror that reshaped countless lives forever. 58 souls gone. When officers finally breached the gunman's suite, they found him dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Despite years of investigation, his motive remains officially unknown, a void that continues to haunt survivors and families searching for answers. Now, the attack stands as one of the deadliest mass shootings by a single individual in American history. The tragedy of that night continues to echo, leaving behind questions, grief, and determination among many to find meaning and strength in the aftermath of this chaos. And that is the very reason why I asked Mark Gray to talk about his book, The Las Vegas Massacre Connections, Finding Strength Through Tragedies After America's Deadliest Mass Shooting, and discuss these stories in which a survivor, Mary Jo von Tillow, is a contributing writer to his book. Mary lost her husband during the horrific event, but she turned this tragedy into hope for the other survivors who were scarred by this unforeseen devious act. So I'd love to welcome Mark to the show. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you for having me, Winnie.
Yeah, so you are obviously a great investigative journalist. I mean, you work for People Magazine and Rolling Stone. You moved out to Vegas in 2005, and you started working for People in 2006. Were you still did you stay in Vegas when you started working for People?
Yeah, so I still live in Vegas. I've been there since 2005. And at the time, People Magazine did not have a Vegas correspondent or reporter of any kind. They would fly people out from Los Angeles. And
Okay.
we realized I was doing PR, public relations at that point, for a bunch of nightclubs on the Strip and shows on the Strip. And so I was sending them a bunch of, celebrity-oriented sightings and things like that, pitching them, hoping for placement in the magazines, websites, and so on and so forth. And that's how they discovered me. And they finally said, why don't we hire you to cover the city instead of just your clients? So that happened in '06. And I had been with them in some capacity or another since then. And then
Yeah.
2014, I also got on board a Rolling Stone, and I've been contributing to them since that day also.
Yeah, with you being in Vegas, you got to cover the whole O.J. Simpson what was it, like, robbery? I don't know. Is
Robbery.
that what they call is that what they called it? Like,
Yeah.
robbery with a assault weapon or something like that? He's trying to steal his own
Armed
smoke bag.
robbery. Yeah, at the Palace Station Hotel. Yeah.
God. OJ, man, he could never stay out of I mean, he's always in trouble, always in trouble. God.
It's
But,
amazing how many times, after he got out of prison, he still lived in Vegas, and how many, I assumed I would see him out and about in the city quite a bit, and I never did. And I only know a few people who actually saw him, but it seemed that he went to the same places over and over and over again. My friend
yeah.
myself did not go to those places.
Stay away from OJ. Um, but okay, so now were you kind of was it a job for you for People to cover this festival? I mean, were you at the festival, or I mean, how were you involved when it came to the 91 Root Harvest Festival there in Vegas?
Yeah, so I was actually covering it for Rolling Stone that whole weekend, and
Okay.
the story was initially supposed to be the 10 best things I saw this weekend at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. And it was a 3-day show, so you kind of figure out, kind of find 3 moments per day.
Hmm.
And so Jason Aldean was the final act of the final day on day 3. So nine of those items were written and ready to go. And I was saving the 10th item for something Jason Aldean related. He was kind of the headliner. Uh,
Hmm.
and obviously the story changed drastically. And that story that I wrote about the 10 best things never saw the light of day. But what I ended up doing, however, was, I was there and I was seeing, murder happening in real time, certainly. I ended up getting home that night. You're just totally shaken by what's happened. And you also aren't really sure what's happened at the same time, because why would you think I'm going to go to a concert and I'm going to see, this kind of chaos and carnage? And so I just decided to start writing a first person story of my experience, no one else's. I just said, this was what I went through. This is what I saw. And I sent it into Rolling Stone at, probably 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, Las Vegas time. And sent it in. I shut my laptop, and I have not read that story since. But I know it published on Rolling Stone. It did extremely well, and so it was I became sort of one of the voices of Route 91, at least from the media standpoint.
Okay. Now, how close were you in vicinity to where was most of the carnage that happened, was it isolated in one area of the floor plan? Or, I mean, was it just like completely scattered throughout the whole grounds there where the concert was?
It was pretty well scattered. Now, most of the fatal victims I said the majority is the best way of saying it. The majority of the fatal victims were on the west side of the concert venue. But people were shot all over all over the acreage there.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, you're at a concert. That is like the last thing would even cross your mind, especially at a country festival. I mean, it's not you're there, you're drinking beers, you're enjoying the music, the atmosphere is fun, and then boom, all of a sudden it just stops.
Yep.
And I can't imagine being in that mindset of what is happening, especially when you're hearing these noises, and it's not a noise you hear every day, you know?
No, it is not. Yeah,
Um,
we all thought it was. I mean, I thought it was fireworks. I shouldn't say we all, but I thought it was fireworks. I know a lot of people did. A lot of people thought it was reverb from the, maybe a speaker was blowing out. One about based on these speakers or something like that. In fact, Jason Aldean has been on the record saying he thought initially that it was a sound issue and a tech issue with speakers, and he was getting angry at his team, saying, fix it, not realize what it really was.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, when those speakers pop and make that noise, yeah, and you also in an area, I mean, if you've ever been to Vegas, you have tall hotels, echoes happen, I mean, when you hear fireworks go off near the Strip, the echoing off the buildings is insane. So I could see how so much confusion could be going on when he started shooting.
Yeah.
Now, once everybody kind of started realizing what happened, was it pure chaos, or did you feel that there were people that were actually like going into robot mode, like helping people get over here? I mean, how was the atmosphere once people started realizing what was happening?
Pure chaos. Pure chaos.
Nobody knows what's going on.
Get down. We're not real gunshot. They're not real gunshots. What is it? I don't know. Let me just we're gonna get trampled if we don't go. We're gonna get trampled if we don't go. Let's go.
It's fireworks. It's fireworks. Stop. It's fireworks.
Fireworks.
It's on the outside, I promise. It's on the outside, honey.
We can't go yet. We can't go yet.
Austin! Let's look at all the bodies.
I know what's going on down there.
That's a concert.
I know. There's people laying in the front there that aren't
I know
moving.
they are.
The people started, coming to help and, come over here, let me help you. What's wrong kind of thing. That all happened pretty quickly after. But in those initial moments, it was all chaos because, again, for the first really, let's call it 20 seconds, 50 seconds, you didn't know what it was. You just heard a bunch of loud noises. And unless you were next to someone who got shot, you thought it was just fireworks or something like that. So
Yeah.
it was absolute chaos for the initial stages. And then that's when, things started happening and you realize what it was. And, little heroic actions were happening all over the place.
Okay.
You join me under here, like Mary Jo's daughter. And I'm sure we'll get into Mary Jo von Tillow, but, her daughter got a cell phone cord out of her purse and used it as a tourniquet on her niece. So things like this were starting to happen, but it took a second to realize what was going on.
Wow. I know. I can't even imagine being in I that would just be terrifying. Just that terror. Just, and you don't know what to do. You have no really coverage either. I mean, you feel like you're game out there in its hunting season.
You're sitting duck.
Yeah. And now how quickly did law enforcement how quickly did they find where the gunman was located versus once they arrived on scene?
Yeah, so they found out fairly quickly because he was in the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, right on the corner suite, and there was a security officer, or maintenance worker. I can't remember which one he was, but he was actually on that level, and he heard the first shots, and he recognized pretty quickly what it was. And part of it is because the gunman started shooting down the hallway at him too. So he took cover and radioed it in. So they knew pretty quickly where this guy was. But he barricaded the door, and it still takes cops, a while to get there and get on the elevator and go up 32 floors.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine how long that elevator ride took. You got an active shooter upstairs and you're in the elevator, like, and you're hearing the music going. It's like, but I'm glad that they got to him quickly, because I can't. I mean, he must have known, because he did inflict himself with a fatal wound with his weapon and took himself out. But there was nothing. He didn't have a manifest. Is that correct? He didn't have anything written down, or was there? I've heard rumors, or there was something that he had, but it wasn't clear.
The only thing that I'm aware of that he had written down was he had, it was sort of a trajectory for bullets, because there was the concert venue was on a parking lot, or it's now a parking lot. It was a dirt lot then, but there's a parking lot right across the street from Mandalay Bay. So Mandalay Bay is on the west side of the strip of the actual road itself, Las Vegas Boulevard. The concert venue is on the east side, and then just after that is a dirt lot, and the airport, Las Vegas Airport's right over there too. Now, in between all that are these 2 or 3 giant tanks of jet fuel, and he was shooting at those too, trying to get them to blow up in theory. And there were writings that the police found in his room of the trajectory of bullets of what he thought it would take to reach those tanks. So that was, to my knowledge, all I know that he had physically written down in the room.
Wow, I had no idea about that. That would have caused some bad damage too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I've been to Mandalay Bay. It's a beautiful, beautiful hotel and resort. The whole strip it's fun to go to Vegas.
The holidays aren't all joy and jingles. Behind the festive lights lies a shadowy history, and Jeff Belanger's Surviving Krampus and Other Yuletide Monsters, The Fright Before Christmas, is here to unwrap the history for you. This isn't your typical Christmas story. It's a fun, fascinating, and sometimes frightening deep dive into the forgotten folklore of the season. A world where Krampus isn't just a pop culture icon, but a devilish enforcer, ready to snatch naughty children. Where trolls, witches, and the Yule Cat stalk the snowy landscapes, and St. Nicholas's heavy-handed helpers bring more punishment than presents. Explore folklore from across the globe, from the elf-like Tomten to the terrifying Grilla, who drags the misbehaved to her mountain lair. Discover why the winter solstice, the darkest time of year, has always been a season to fear. Whether you're curling up by the fire or walking alone on a cold winter's night, The Fright Before Christmas will have you questioning every shadow. It's available in hardcover, audiobook, and CD, perfect for gifting to your favorite spooky season lover. So this holiday season, add a little more fright to your festive nights. Grab your copy of The Fright Before Christmas, available wherever you buy your favorite books, because nothing says Merry Christmas like a Yule cat ready to pounce.
Now, did you reach out to Mary Jo von Tillow, or how did you get connected with her? Because I find her story very inspiring, because, I mean, to lose a spouse, I mean, I'm sure they were probably there as a family. It's, music, vacation, whatever, and to lose your soulmate in such a tragic way and so quickly like that. How did she come about into your book, and how were you guys introduced to each other?
Yep. So a fun story. I was 4.5 years after the shooting. So this is 2021 now. I was Rolling Stone and asked me to go to. They want to do a 5-year reunion, not a reunion. Excuse me, a 5-year anniversary story of the shooting, and they said, we want you to go and interview a bunch of these survivors and widows and things like that. And at that time, a bunch of these survivors would go to this one particular Los Angeles Angels baseball game in Anaheim, California. And I had never heard of this. I did not know this existed, but one of my colleagues at Rolling Stone knew that it was a thing.
Okay.
So I went out there and I gotten in touch with a woman who sort of put it on and told her what I was doing. And she said, okay, I'll kind of set you up and kind of make some introductions to people. And I was at this baseball game, and I was tailgating with everyone beforehand, but I'm sitting at the game, and this woman's sitting in front of me. It was Mary Jo von Tillow, who I did not know at that point. And I was told her story in advance, so I kind of had an idea. So I told her, hey, I'd like to speak to you. I'm Mark Gray. I'm, Rolling Stone. I'm covering this story, et cetera, et cetera. And Mary Jo, she will deny this to this day, by the way, but she, I think she's over here somewhere too, but, I kept, she would have no part of speaking to me. I'm good. I have no interest in talking about that. You seem like a nice man, but no. And thankfully, baseball is a very long game. And so I had 9 innings to break her down. And, so she, finally, after the game was over, there was kind of a concert that was going on in the baseball field. And so we had to line up to get down there. And it just so happens, and this part was not planned, I was right behind her in line. And so she said, all right, let's talk. So I got a very brief interview with her for a couple of minutes for the story for Rolling Stone. A year later, and that story came out and did really well. A year later, my phone rings, and because she saw me at another baseball game with survivors. And she said, hey, I wanted to speak to you about, I have this idea for a book, and I want you to write it if you're interested. So that's how it came about. So at the time, she lived in Southern California. And so I flew from Vegas to Southern California, spent the entire day with her. And we just chatted about life and that night and her husband. And it just kind of became this thing. And I wasn't sure when I left that meeting at her home, do we have a book here? Is this a magazine article, or is this just a day I spent with a nice woman and nothing else? I didn't know what was going to come of it still. And so I just started kind of writing. I didn't really have a process. It was just, I just started writing on what she had told me. Of course, I knew a lot of background having been there that night. And then I started saying, can you put me in touch with other people who know you, who know Kurt, family members, friends, et cetera, et cetera. And then it just started developing from there into something bigger. And then all I did this book was, do we want to make it about just that night? And we both decided we didn't. We wanted to make it more inspiring, because just a book about the night, while it's fascinating, it can be a real downer also at the same time.
Right.
And
Right.
we wanted to find sort of, the silver lining of it all. And and Mary Jo would speak about all these incredible people she met, not on that day, but because of that day.
Yep.
And they all had these inspiring stories, and they all had trauma in their own lives, whether it's a sexual assault or whether it was, a family member was murdered or something along these lines, or lost their home in a natural disaster, things like this. So, and all these people had turned their life around. And Mary Jo said, I'm going to be like one of those people, basically. I'm going to turn my life around. And I'm not going to move on, but I'm going to move forward. And these people kind of laid out a little bit of the path for her, or certainly helped her in her path to healing. And so I kind of like to call this book sort of the blueprint of, trauma. If you have trauma, you can open this book, read it, and say, look at what all these people went through and how they were able to, overcome it and make something good of this moment.
Right. And that's right now, trauma bonding is starting to become a thing. And it's like when you trauma bond with somebody, it's almost like you just found a new family member. Because you have so much in common with such deep meaning, tragedy, scars, that you can empathize with each other and understand. So it's like a different type of family bonding, that trauma. And I do believe it does help with the healing process for sure, because I can't imagine feeling so isolated and alone in your own anxiety and chaos, having to live through this, and then having to grieve somebody who didn't. It's like you almost grieve yourself as well, the old you versus now you have a new you. So yeah, so I could see how connecting stories and tying people together, and people that didn't even know each other to begin with, now all of a sudden they have this tight bond that they can lean on each other for. I think it's very important for victims of tragedies like this, or just even if it's just just a family, like somebody was murdered. I mean, anything like that. It's very important to make sure that the victims are feel like they're understood, you know?
Sure.
And
You nailed it. Because I mean, what happens with a lot of these tragedies, Vegas is no different than some of these others, where you focus so much on the number of dead. In this case, 58. And in Parkland, you focus on the dead. You focus on Columbine, all these others, things like that. But the victims are often forgotten. They're just they're just a number. Oh, 58. But you forget these are real humans who had real families, and these families were affected. And so that was what the book was, and we wanted to make it very much for the victims. And I know there's not often in true crime where you can get true crime element and hope at the same time.
right, it's not a common thing, that's for sure. And whenever I talk about cases like this, I always want to make the victims known, because they're the reason why we're talking about this. It wasn't the psychotic guy with the gun; it was what he did with that gun, and that's what we have to remember. And I know that it's all that everybody likes the gore and the shock and everything up front, but nobody really realizes the weight that a tragedy like that carries. And it just doesn't stop after everything's cleaned up. The grounds are clean, swept, garbage is picked up. It's still there, and it's still lingering for the victims. Now, do do they do anything, any type of memorial service, or is there something in that area that is dedicated to the victims? Is there like a memorial there?
There is. It's not in that area necessarily. Now, if you know the kind of the geography of Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay sits on the far south end of the Las Vegas Strip. It's about as far south you can go when you're speaking of the famous Strip. Now, old downtown Vegas, which is not the Strip, old downtown is Fremont Street. The Golden Nugget, those old timey hotels you hear about.
I love it there.
Yeah. So in that area, roughly, there is something called the Healing Garden. And the Healing Garden was built within, I think it was 3 or 4 days of the shooting. And it was very organic, donated land type of situation. And people started building this for the victims of Route 91. And that still exists to this day. All the 58 families all have all the victims have their own space there. They have their own area, and the families get to decorate it however they want. And so
Oh,
it's just
that's
it's a really sweet thing, and it's gets quite popular. Certainly around October 1st, the anniversary of the shooting. But there is currently something going on in Vegas where they're trying to build a permanent monument on the shooting site, and they're trying to raise money for it now, for the it's called the Forever Memorial,
okay.
something of that nature. But that is something they're hoping to do. A lot of victims are hoping to do. It just hasn't happened yet. But the people who own that land, it's a tribe, they have promised to donate 2 acres of that parking lot for this memorial should it happen.
Okay. And hey, if there's anything we can do, my listeners can do, help raise money for it, because I think it's very important to not let something like that be forgotten, especially it being the largest
Yeah.
of by a single shooter, too. I mean, I don't. It seems like I feel like we're starting to become so jaded with this stuff because I spoke with you before we started the interview. It's like you don't really hear about this mass shooting much like you do the others.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. Because we all talk about Columbine, Parkland. I mean, we just had one here in Minneapolis at Assumption, Minneapolis Catholic School. Uh, it's like we talk about those, but this one, it's almost kind of like it's forgotten. And
It really is. Yeah.
it's kind of,
And
because when the book came up, I was like, what? I didn't forget, but it was kind of took me back like, wow, you don't really hear people talking about it. Made me think.
yeah, I mean, I live in Las Vegas, so people talk about it a lot there, certainly. But
Yeah.
that's very hypercentric. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't. It's kind of forgotten to the sort of the masses. I remember actually I left town about 3 or 4 weeks after the shooting happened. I was in Northern California. I was in Napa, California, actually, and I was there with my girlfriend, now wife. But we were in an Uber, and the Uber driver said something to the extent of, why are you here or whatever. We kind of told them we were here and et cetera, et cetera. We brought up the shooting, and the topic came up pretty organically, but brought up the shooting. And we said, oh, we were there, and he said, oh, I totally forgot about that. And that was 3 or 4 weeks after it happened.
Right. I
Okay,
mean,
Brandon, at that point where, so many people out there, unfortunately, kind of just moved on.
yeah, because I remember watching the news coverage and I'm just like, oh my God, this is horrific. And it just kind of fizzled away. I mean, I don't know, you gotta love the 24-hour news cycle. But normally that thing runs for like 2 weeks when something like that happens and it's ingrained in your head. But and I love.
And Tom Petty died that next day, so that also, that was also big news. People forget
Well,
about.
first he said he died, but then they had to retract it. Then he died. I remember that too because I was like Tom Petty, and then they said, "Oh no, it was a false one." And then he really died the next. So I remember that as well. But like with people like Mary Jo, if she, I mean, is this something that is she's trying to grow something out of this? Like, are we hoping to even have some type of a victim and trauma bonding type of network where people can connect, with other people? It may not even be the same event, but just to kind of have an outlet, almost like a Facebook without it being Facebook. But it's a place where people can connect because what she is doing is very important and it's probably the best therapy you can outside of a doctor's office is to connect with those who know what you're going through. Does she have any plans to further anything when it comes to connecting the survivors of this and the grief that comes with it?
Her biggest thing right now is she really wants the memorial to be built because, and for the same reason that she wanted to do this book was she doesn't want Kurt to be forgotten. And that's really what it comes down to. Now, she's met so many people along the way who have dealt with other traumas or even similar traumas. I mean, she's among the Route 91 community. she's very well known, very well respected. But she says she's met so many different people. She's spoken at victims conferences over the years and things like that, and she is more than happy to speak to people and help them out, which is how a lot of the people from this book came about. Was she met them through a mutual friend, and this person's going through this, and so she said, "So, like, here's my phone number. Reach out if you need anything." Because in her mind, I've been through some of this. I can help you, kind of lead. I not show you the way, but I can lead you to certain paths and help you avoid some of these pitfalls. So
Right.
I don't know if she really has a foundation per se, what she's planning to do, but she is very much an open book when it comes to helping people overcome trauma and tragedy, just like she has it. She did the whole thing. She sat in bed and couldn't speak for days and didn't want to get out of bed. And she thought, in real time, she talked about in the book that she thought, go ahead and kill me now too. I'm good. Take me, no problem. You already got my husband. So she went through every facet of trauma you can imagine. And she finally realized, life is worth living. Kurt would not want me to sit around and sulk all day long. And so I'm going to get up, move forward, and start, living my life a little bit. And she did it different than a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people sought out therapy immediately, and she went to therapy also, but she started traveling a lot. She'd left town, and she was almost never home. She was invited to different things. She was invited to the Kentucky Derby, so she went. She invited to the ACM Awards in Nashville. She went. She spoke at a victims conference in Florida. She went. So she was just all over the place. That was her coping, was kind of almost getting away from it for a while, at least.
Yeah. And, sometimes that's just how people have to deal with it. But for her to have the insight to turn it around and to help others, because she knows what it's like to go through it. It's not fun, and it's, I call those people angels.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong way to overcome your trauma. I mean, everyone's different, everyone's an individual, and so you do it the way you think you should do it for yourself, and that's what she did. And her daughter was there that night. Jessica's her daughter's name, and Jessica didn't go about healing that same way as her mom. Now, she didn't judge her mom for it, but she just did it a different way. And so, and obviously, I didn't lose anyone like a father. When I was there, obviously that night. But I lost my innocence. We all did. All 22,000 of us lost our innocence that night. And and I went through it a different way than Mary Jo, which was different than Jessica, which was different than a bunch of my friends too. So there's no right or wrong way to overcome and move forward from trauma.
Yeah, the only thing that y'all have similar is that there's a before and after, and that's about what you do in between. That's up to you. But it's good that at least the survivors and things like that, they have some type of guidance and something that they can lean on to, because I can't imagine having to deal with that type of trauma alone. And I'd be seeing it in my vision over and over and over again, and just the tragedy of it all. But I'm glad there's some hope coming out of it, because like I said, you would never expect to go to a country music concert with Jason Aldean and get shot up the way that they did. And I commend you for writing this book, and Mary Jo for finally giving in and breaking her down. She finally told you her story. And now look what for her taking that chance to tell her story. Now it has a book where people can actually trauma bond with the book and realize that there is life after trauma and tragic events like this, that it's not an easy road for anybody, but there's still a road that you can move forward on. And I thank you so much for writing a book like this, Mark. Guys, if you read this book, rate and review the book. There is a link in today's description. Purchase it. And then once you read it, rate and review it. It helps these books get pushed out there more. And especially this type of story, who apparently this story has been forgotten about in a lot of people's minds. So this is something we need to really grasp on, especially right now, because I feel like there's like I wake up every morning like, what's the damage report? And, like, is there a tragedy? Is there a school shooting happening? Is somebody trying to get assassinated? I mean, it's today's world. I think just watching the news, we're traumatized. So, whether you've been through trauma or not, get this book, read it, and, it might give you a little insight of stuff that you may not even realize you've been dealing with. So, but thank you so much, Mark, for coming on and sharing this book and your insights. Now, do you have a website or anything that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so we have a book website. It's the title of the book is the Las Vegas Massacre Connections.com. We have Instagram of the same handle. My Instagram, I'm happy to put it out there, is at the Mark Gray,
Okay.
MARKGRAY. Happy to chat with anyone out there, and like I say, if anyone needs sort of even to trauma bond with me, I'm more than happy to. I've been doing it. I've dealt with this for several years, 8 years going now, and I've pretty much figured out the way that I do it. And it's not probably not for everyone, but it worked for me, and I'm happy to share whatever I can with anyone else.
Right. It's kind of a special friendship that you get when you trauma bond with somebody. It's almost like you're a soul sibling to that person or something. I've trauma bond with a couple people that stuff I've gone through, and it's a good feeling to know that they're in your life. So like I said, I commend you guys for putting a book out like this so people can know that they can reach out if they feel like they need help. So thank you so much, Mark. Wow, how incredible to have such resilience to come out of a tragedy like that and it still move forward. It shows you the human condition and part of the human experience that we can overcome tragedy and trauma. It's not easy, but there is help out there. And that's why I really want people to pick up Mark's book because knowing that you're not alone in your own trauma, chaos, anxiety, panic attacks, anything like that, there's always somebody out there that you can lean on. Hey, beautiful souls. Winnie Schrader here from Love and Lotus Tarot, your guide through the energy shifts, emotional waves, and the cosmic chaos we've all been feeling lately. I mean, let's be real for a second. The world feels loud right now, right? There's so much noise, so much tension, so much uncertainty. Between the news, social media, and just trying to keep up with life, it's easy to feel like you're stuck on this never-ending roller coaster that just won't slow down. But here's the thing. Even though we can't control the outside chaos, we can learn to navigate through it. And that's where I come in. I mean, lately, have you been feeling like everything is happening to you instead of for you? Are you finding it hard to stay grounded when everyone seems just as ungrounded as you are? Or maybe you've been questioning your direction, wondering if the path you are on still aligns with who you are becoming. If any of this hits home, this is for you. It's like we're all trying to move forward, but the universe keeps throwing us stupid curveballs. But here's your reminder, you are not powerless. So all you got to do is reach out and book a reading with me today so I can help you navigate through those troubled waters and gain back control of your life. You can book a reading today. Just visit me at lovelotustarot.com. Again, book a reading with me today at lovelotustarot.com. To switch gears a little bit, I have been doing some TV watching, and I was so excited. I could not wait for the series All Her Fault to come out, and I was not disappointed. Let me tell you, holy buckets! This thing has more twists and turns than the corkscrew roller coaster. I mean, talk about true crime at its finest. I mean, you have murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, embezzling, gambling, addiction, I mean, cover-ups. I mean, and it's so like you never know which way it's gonna go until it happens, and when you think it's gonna go one way, it goes completely the other. But if you haven't watched the series on Peacock, All Her Fault, You need to if you're a true crime junkie like I am. This was a fascinating series. I loved it. I almost want to rewatch it again just to see if I missed anything. To say I how did I not know this? But it's starring Dakota Fanning, who is an awesome actress, Michael Pena, who's been around for ages, and he used to kind of do some comedy, kind of more kitschy type stuff early in his career, but he's gotten some really, really good roles throughout the year, more serious roles. And he was in the movie 9/11 with Nicolas Cage. But I love Michael Pena. He's in it. And then Jake Lacey, who plays the father, one of the main characters, and Sophia Lillis, who you know her from the movie It. And she played Beverly Marsh in the young Beverly Marsh in It. But she was fantastic in her character too. I can't really say who's who, what's what, because I'm going to give too much away, and there's no spoilers in this, not at all. So I just wanted to leave that up front. But it'll leave you just jaw drop like, "What?" So if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's awesome. I love it. And last night I got to go to a special screening with my son to go see the new FNAF 2 movie, and I wasn't disappointed. Now, I had really no clue going into the whole Five Nights at Freddy's movie series, and because it's a video game that I don't play, my son's played it, so I have no clue, what I was getting involved in, but I had the idea, the concept of a video game where you have this old pizzeria with the animatronics, like we all grew up with Circus Circus, Chuck E. Cheese, and Showbiz Pizza. And they're haunted, and it's an abandoned place, and these haunted animatronics can kill you. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Well, they had to create a movie. So I asked my son, I said, "Well, how well does these movies go along with the storyline of the video game?" And he said, "Well, it's more like the books because there is a Five Nights at Freddy's series books that he has all of them and has read all of them. So I trust his input." But yeah, he says it follows more the storyline of the book. But I mean, you have the best cast again. I mean, you have Josh Hutcherson, who's playing one of the lead characters again, Piper Rubio, who plays Abby. She's cute. She's just cute as a button. I love her. Elizabeth Lale plays Vanessa, but you even have a couple new characters in there as well that they're fantastic. Where's all my 90s girls at? Because we have the duo heartthrobs of the 90s. You have Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. Yeah, he's in there as well. So they're back together. I was blown away. I loved it more than the first one. The first one was kind of more of a setup movie for me, but this one had better creep factors to it. It even had a little bit of humor in it, which I love that kind of break, especially when it's a very tense movie. It's nice to get those little giggles in there. But they did a great job. The cast was great, and like I said, they creeped it up with this one. This one had a lot of just icky moments, and of course, they brought the character Marionette in. That's a nope for me. I like puppets, like Muppet puppets, but I'm no to the marionette thing. I'd be kicking those things like it was a 55-yard field goal. No, I don't like those creepy little things. Overall, the movie was really good, and it really, really entices you to really anticipate for the next movie to come out, FNAF 3. Now, one thing you do have to do is make sure you stay through all the credits. There is a mid-credit scene, but there's something at the very, very end that you don't want to miss as well. So make sure you go check out FNAF 2. It's in theaters right now. Came out December 5th. Hey, have fun. It's a holiday season. Go see a horror movie. I mean, why not? But yeah, I thought overall it was a good, fun, family horror flick. I mean, family, I say that loosely, but we all know the age group that FNAF is targeted to. And my son is a huge FNAF fan, and he's just chomping at the bit now. He's like, I want FNAF 3, not like now, mom. And I said, well, you're just gonna have to wait. But yeah, check it out. And I give it probably, I would say, 4 out of 5 fingerprints for FNAF 2. And then another one I started watching that is The Devil in Disguise on Peacock. Gacy. What can we say about Gacy that hasn't already been said? Um, the guy who plays Gacy in that series is spot on. He really captures the narcissism and the sociopathic behaviors of Gacy down to a T. The way he would explain why he would murder or what he would do to those boys was like just matter of fact, like he was making a ham sandwich. Um, and that he really portrayed that well because that's how Gacy was. He's just like, why does it, he had this, why does it matter? Who cares? You know, attitude. I find him so evil, but it's actually a really good series and it really showcases uh the desperation and the determination of the police department there in Des Plaines, Illinois, and how they really targeted Gacy and kept on him and kept on him. And I mean, how many if they pulled like 33 people out of the under the house. Uh, that it's just so maddening to know that he got away with it for so long. That's what's scary about it all. And but if you're it is a dark series. Yeah, I can only watch it in bits and pieces, because it's just kind of dark, but it really grasps the mindset of Gacy and how he perceived his proclivities that he liked to do with other men, and how it just seemed like it was nothing. Um, so that I think that actor should probably get an award for that because that's hard to pull off that coldness like that and to really put it through the screen. Woo. But yeah, if you're into the Gacy thing, it is a really good a story and it gives a good insight and stuff of actually what the police were going through because we really don't hear what the police were going through at that time. Could you imagine being a police officer and pulling body part after body part after body part out of that crawl space of his house? And knowing that it's from different people, um, that really has to I mean, I the cops, they wanted to get Gacy so bad because they wanted to stop this carnage that he was causing, and they finally got him, thank goodness, but, yeah, that one's a really good one as well. It's just if you don't like super dark stuff, then it's probably not a good idea for you to watch it. Maybe just watch a documentary on Gacy. Hey, and if you have any recommended documentaries or movies, dramas, like TV series, I do love those ones. Although the one that they keep redoing over and over again is the Murdoch family one. We've had enough of them. That family is so effed up and I can't even put into words how that family has just shot itself in the foot so many times. The Murdoch, if you don't know anything about the Murdoch, I don't even know. It's spelled away, but he says it three different ways. His own name, he can't even say his own name right. So nobody really knows how to pronounce the damn thing. But anyway, um they keep popping out, these drama series. They had one, with, Bill Pullman, who actually did a really good job. That one was a really good series, I love it. But now they just came out with one, I think, on Hulu or something, another same series, but it's like, ugh, that one's kinda getting a little overdone here, but yeah, I've been trying to just to kinda delve into some documentaries and things like that, just to kinda see what I can come up with for great episode content for you guys. So if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to email them to me at mysteriesmayhemmerlow@gmail.com, or you can hit my link tree. You can find me on social media there. My Love and Lotus Tarot is there. Everything that is all things Winnie is at my link tree. So that's probably the best way to get in touch with me quicker. But yeah, I'm always trying to find some good content and ones that aren't as known as well, because there's a lot of cases that have come across my table that I'm like, I have never even heard of this. One just came across my table today, so I'm gonna start looking into it. I'm gonna give you guys the best episode ever on it. So like I said, if you have any recommendations, shoot them my way. But thank you guys so much for another awesome episode. And like I said, check out all the links in today's description. Make sure you, when you buy his book, make sure you rate and review it. You can visit me at mysteriesmayhemmerlot.net. That is my website. You can check out books, interviews as well, along with merch. And make sure you hit the link for the Route 91 Harvest Festival Memorial. If it's just $2, if it's $5, it doesn't matter. Um, those are the things that we need to put up as to memorialize the victims so they're not forgotten. They've been still trying to do that for Jeffrey Dahmer's location of his apartment building that they tore down. They wanted to build a memorial park, and it's still yet to happen. But it's to honor those who are lost at that place is important because it becomes sacred ground. People died there, innocent died there. It's sacred now, so it should be treated as such. And if you guys want a really good firsthand account of the Las Vegas Route 91 Music Festival Massacre, watch the documentary series on Paramount TV, 11 Minutes. It gives you real-time accounts of what was happening, law enforcement, and they had to deal with injured officers as well. So it's very impactful, emotional. You hear stories from other survivors as well. So I highly recommend if that's something that you can watch. So, but like I said, fair warning, it is traumatic at times to watch. And if you are triggered by mass shooting events, gun violence, things like that, it's probably not the documentary for you. Again, though, it's called 11 Minutes. It's on Paramount TV. Watch it, soak it in, and really think about those victims and how important it is to memorialize them so we don't let this happen again. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you all next week.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Mysteries, Mayhem, and Merlot. And until our next case, my armchair detectives, stay safe, stay vigilant, and stay aware. I'll see you right here next week on Mysteries, Mayhem, and Merlot.